really fast, so I try not to overdo it too much. There's a lot of just random texture that I'm throwing in there. A lot of that will get covered up later on, but it's just something to have a little bit of visual interest in an area that has a lot going on, but you don't really want to paint the entire thing literally. You just want to give the impression of what's going on, which is fine in a really quick study like this, and usually it's more fun to look at than a tightly rendered area anyway. Even though the color in the middle part of the painting is really saturated compared to what I was putting on before, it's still fairly dark, relatively dark compared to, say, the white of the paper. So I'm doing that on purpose so I can lay down lighter color on top of it. I usually reuse the same color on my palette that's already been there from the session before, because I kind of like the warm muted grays and whatever else just happens to be the soup on my palette there. Especially in the lay-ins, because you get interesting colors to start with rather than just going with the boring, predictable, monotone wash that you might use if you just laid down, say, burnt umber or any other color. And it also saves you a little bit of paint because you're using what you already have there, and it's a unpredictable and interesting color. And so right here I'm just starting to actually use some opaque color to lay down on top of the dark background that I set down before. If your color isn't dark enough underneath these colors that you're laying down right here, your light opaque details that you're adding there, then it just doesn't have enough contrast to really make a difference, really. Which some areas you actually want. I mean, that area that I'm painting right now, it doesn't really need to stand out because it's not an important part of the piece at all. So I'm just kind of just doing whatever there because I know I don't really need to care that much about it. It's just going to be an area that your eye isn't really going to focus towards. At least that's the hope. My focus is getting kind of bad here because I'm getting a lot more mentally invested into the painting here. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I need to figure out a better way to set this up. Because every time I jerk back to the painting, that means, oh, snap back to, oh, I'm recording this. I better make sure people can actually see what I'm doing here. So the less of that mental snapback that happens, the better. Because the more I do that, the more I'm taken out of the zone and lose a little bit of concentration and focus. A little bit of the real sense of depth is starting to develop here. Mostly because of the darkness that I established on the left part of the painting. I think I actually went a little too thick. I should have started with a thicker wash, or a darker wash, instead of the thickness that I added on that left side to cover up the white of the paper that was still there. If I were to redo this painting, I would have definitely done that. Still trying to keep the white of the paper for what will probably be my focal point. Because I like the contrast of the white of the paper against the darkness of what I lay down here in the color. Just drawing in some of the rocks. Starting to actually look like something substantial now. So some depth is established here. Especially between that brand, the